Hello and welcome back to another Definitely Not Terrible. This time is going to be a little more chill, mellow, and just talking about some stuff. So without any further ado, let's just jump right into this. The last few years have taught me that the divide between what you want and what your parents want for your life is usually quite a bit. I mean, I guess depending on the person, depending on what life you live and stuff like that. And I was very lucky. Like there's some families with like tiger moms. There's some families out there that are very harsh, very whatever. So I was lucky in my circumstance. But I keep finding a distinction for what the people around me want and what I actually want. Sometimes it's not even like a thing like, oh, I don't want you doing that. It's more so the fact that I'm just doing stuff that doesn't make sense or is like just kind of different, or maybe in certain ways that I do stuff that I shouldn't or whatever. But I've noticed that a lot recently, and I figure it's probably a common thing for most people out there, but I don't know, it's been really on my mind the past few months. But I mean, I guess that's just a thing with being like a senior in college. I'm kind of at that point where you're thinking about your future, wondering what that next thing is going to be. And I don't really know. I don't have a clue, but I can tell my parents, or my mom especially, has her mind set up. Certain major things in my life have happened to the point where they've kind of let me do my thing a little more, which has been very nice and stuff. And keep in mind, you still got to make money, you still got to have a career, like support yourself and stuff. But I've been given opportunities that I probably wouldn't have if it wasn't for certain things. So it's been really helpful. I just know that from here on out, there's gonna be a major difference between what the future my parents think and what the future that I actually live, no matter what happens. And I find that kind of interesting. It's kind of the same idea with the friends I'm around. Even when they ask, or when family asks about like, hey, what are you gonna do with what are you gonna do after graduation and stuff? I don't even know. Moving, I don't know. Relationships, I don't know. Job, I don't know. This, like literally everything I do not know. And for someone who thinks a lot, I'm not someone who has social media outside of like YouTube and TikTok to post videos from like this stuff. I'm constantly thinking instead of like texting or worrying about this and that. I'm thinking. I'm just sitting there thinking all the time. So when you're hanging around people that are like checking their phones or whatever, there'll be situations where you see just everyone across the table on their phone, even like family, friends. It doesn't matter the situation. And I'm thinking about my future, and I know I've echoed this sentiment about staying in the present and stuff, but there's certain parts where you just wonder and think about the future. And after all this time thinking, all this time like really wondering, I still cannot figure out like anything in terms of like any specific avenue. And I find that kind of interesting. What's also pretty interesting is the fact that the only person that I've really been around the past few months that actively made an effort to not be on their phones or like be checking it like nonstop was the same girl that I mentioned a billion times before. I think there was a few times where she like a friend or this or that, I could check my phone more than her, which is like insane. I don't think there's ever been a person in my entire life that I've met that's been more focused and more in the moment than her. And she taught me things and did certain things that helped me live in the moment more. And it makes it become very apparent when people are actually like paying attention and in the moment, or they're just kind of there. I find it very interesting that the two people in the history of my life that have made me feel quote unquote at home, like place, comfortable, are the two people that check their phone and were the most present. I feel like there's something more to that. Because like I've been around thousands of people. I've had plenty of conversations with people from kids all the way to like 90-year-olds. So I've been all around, but there's only been a few people where when you're in the moment, you could tell that they're there. Like they're not just talking to you, but thinking about something else. Like their entire being is in the moment. And there's something really special about that. That's what I'm trying to figure out throughout this time. And because of all these unknowns, because of all the stuff I don't know in the future, it's so easy to drift ahead. But staying present has helped me really find a way to, I don't know, be my best self, I guess. I may be talking in circles, but it's very interesting how much someone paying attention does to make you feel better. Just by being there and being actually present, it makes you feel light years better. It was pretty cool. This past weekend, some family came in town from like Kansas, and some of the cousins' friends in Illinois and all this stuff came down for this wedding. We had this whole little get together, dinner, wedding stuff, and it was a nice little deal. I had the whole wedding thing, and then it danced for a few hours and had that whole thing, and that was really nice. It was a really good experience. And with all that, with all the new people came around, I got the same question. They're like, oh, what grade are you in? Oh, shoot, you're almost graduating. You know what you're gonna do? The same, what are you gonna do after? What are you gonna do after? Just repeats. There's probably like a few dozen people that asked me the same question. And it made me think to myself, what am I gonna do after? That in itself sounds like a nervous statement, sound like something that would make you feel stressful, make you feel worried, but it genuinely doesn't do that to me. Like I'm sitting here, it's like 10 o'clock, I'm like, it's Sunday night, I got a full week of classes ahead of me, and I'm just not nervous. Being nervous and stressed, that stuff was my bread and butter from middle school through high school, all this stuff. But now I'm sitting here in a moment where technically I should feel the most stressed, I think. Like I'm about to graduate, don't have like any plans, not stressed, which is crazy. It's absolutely crazy. I think it's literally a byproduct of just letting stuff go and just trusting that everything works itself out. I think that's genuinely why I'm not stressed, because I can't point to anything else. I mean, I don't know what I'm doing outside of that. It's pretty crazy. So thank you. But getting back to the question, and whenever people would ask it, I don't really know what I should do, because what's really on my mind and what I keep coming back to is the idea of going to Europe, pursuing YouTube, doing writing, doing this, that, and just seeing where it goes from there. But it's like, you tell them that and they're like, You might as well be speaking Spanish, because let me tell you exactly what they're expecting. They're expecting me to say, oh, I got a business job lined up with such and such company. I'm going to start in June and I'm going to get a job in Phoenix. They're expecting me to say, oh, I'm getting an apartment with some of my guys from college, or, oh, I'm doing this, that. That's exactly what they're expecting. But no matter what happens, it's not going to be that. It's going to be something different. But it's weird how I remember used to like craving the idea of going to California. And I used to think like, okay, college is going to be tough, but after that, I'm going to go to California. I don't care how much it costs. I'll live in some terrible garage. I'll stay with 5 other people. I'll do that grind, and then eventually get a house. I'm sitting back here and I'm like, I really want to go to Europe, and I don't want to go just for vacation. Like I want to go and see how it goes. It's actually a lot cheaper than LA, cheaper than New York. It's honestly probably cheaper than Phoenix, cheaper than the area that I am right now. So it's pretty crazy. I mean, the flight out there would be a little pricey, but I mean, if you're flying out there and being out there for all that time, that's pretty chill at that point. But how do you say this kind of stuff to like a 60-year-old aunt or uncle who has only heard talks about 9 to 5, finance, accounting, That's the only thing they've heard for however many years with all the cousins, with all the people. But there's not even a part of me that would care if someone gave me a $10 billion job in the finance thing. I've in a sense had like a test run to figure out what stuff I genuinely like, what stuff I don't. And in more ways than just the job thing, like I've kind of honed in on what the stuff I really like, and what people expect is so different from what I actually enjoy, what I actually like. It's actually mind blowing. The life that I feel like I'm working towards, I can't imagine it, but it's so different than what I'm doing right now that it's kind of unimaginable, honestly. I can't even explain it. And that's why when someone said, oh, you're a homebody, you're not moving, it really hit me hard, because as much time as I spent home, as much time I spent around family and friends, initially high school and all that stuff, it was, oh, I need that, I need to be around in my comfort zone, I need to be around such and such. But genuinely, it's like I actually like being by myself. I like hanging out with friends and stuff, but I'm in my room alone. I got to this apartment, hung out, just worked on stuff, did this and that, and I like it. I don't actively try to be around people constantly. Like I actually like being by myself. I'm kind of just looking for that person that makes me feel at home, that person that kind of completes me in a sense. And outside of that, like I'm kind of whatever. I had that with my dad, I had that with his girl. Like it just kind of happens, and I just kind of am on this raft just floating along, waiting for the next one, just kind of chilling. So that's why I'm not really scared about moving to a new city, doing all this stuff, because it used to be my dad, it used to be this girl, but like if they're not in the picture, if all that stuff is whatever, then what's keeping me here? That was what made me so connected to the family, and what connected is because of the feeling that I got there, I got nowhere else. But now that I'm at a point where I don't have, like, there's no specific person giving me that feeling, it's more so created by just me. Why not try something new? If I feel stumped, if I feel stuck here, why am I staying here and just going in circles? There's just no point. Why would I be going towards a career, doing a job, doing this and that, when it's something I'm not even passionate about in the long run? Like if I'm gonna work some terrible job, if I'm gonna do some whatever hours, I want it to be going towards something that I at least somewhat am passionate about. It's not really the work that I'm worried about. Like I can do my thing. It's more so, what's the trajectory of this? Like, am I gonna work at this job that just leads up to something I don't care about? Like, but the conundrum I'm facing is that I don't really know if there's many specific jobs that kind of fill this void. Because I used to think, oh, making movies, oh, that will do it. Working in sports, oh, that will do it. But sitting here, like you could give me a job working for a major movie studio in Hollywood, super nice house, and I don't even be there. I don't even need to be there to know that it wouldn't do this. Because there's so many different things that I want to do, so many things that I'm interested in, that I can't really pin it down to one specific thing. So I figure that whatever job I get, whatever thing, on the side I'm going to be doing a whole bunch of stuff. So that could mean that a relationship or friendships and all stuff may be very difficult, but if I'm not actively working towards the place I want to be career-wise, mentally, whatever, I'm just gonna be screwing myself. So I don't really know where the end goal is, but I know little things, like at least making these videos, journaling every day. I sprint around campus, I wave and say God bless. I do all these sort of things because they give me a sense of fulfillment, and they give me, I guess, confidence in a sense that I'm working towards something, or at least building myself up to be prepared for whatever's next. And I think that's pretty cool. So that's why I don't want to do some job or something just for money, just for whatever. Because I honestly just want to do the most I can with this life. I just don't want to accept stuff. I want to push myself to be something, even if that is way more difficult. But even with all this in mind, I find it funny how content and how happy I am. Like the happiness that I feel when I wake up, even on days where I wake up at 6:30, have class, then I have a little break, then I have like a 3-hour class, then I have a little break, then I do this, that. The amount of contentness and happiness I feel is more than I felt on my birthdays, going to like movie, doing this, that, all the years up to this. And that's really awesome. I genuinely am super blessed to be in this spot where I feel that way. And I can't really explain it. Because in this current situation, in the spot I am in life, I honestly don't see anyone who feels the same same way. So I think it's a byproduct of the very specific things that have happened in my life. Maybe I'll talk about it in a later video, but very specific things that happen in my life that aren't specifically, I would say, normal for someone my age or whatever, but they've gotten me to a point where I feel different, I act different, or whatever, than I would if I didn't go through it. So it's very interesting, and it's why I keep mentioning this confusion, unknowns, this and that with the future, because the stuff that's happened has made me rethink it. Instead of just going do along with my life, I'm actually like, I could do something bigger, I could do something better, let's see how I can do that. Because think about to that one girl that was like, oh, you're gonna stay at home, you're not gonna leave. It's not Arizona, it's not home, it's not the fact that I know people, it's more so that I didn't have any other choice. I mean, obviously, grade school, middle school, high school, you don't have a choice. You're living with your parents, you're doing whatever, just going through the motions. College, you have a choice, but I didn't really have a choice. And I'm glad I ended up where I ended up, and I'm glad I did whatever. Like, I'm very happy with it, but it wasn't really a choice. So with that in mind, from age 0 to 22, there was no other choice but to do this. So when I graduate will be the first time that I actually actively have a choice in what I'm doing, where I'm living, all this stuff ever. Because you could say like, oh, well, you could travel during the summers, do this and that, but then ultimately I'm coming back here and doing this. I have a lease at this apartment, so I might as well make the most of it. So you gotta stay here, do this. But now that I'm not tied here, now that I'm not obligated to stay here, am I just gonna stay here just to stay here? If I don't feel great here, if it doesn't feel like my jam, why would I waste time staying here if I could just go somewhere else and try new? Like, what's the point of letting fear, the unknown, or all that stuff worry me about it if I know that stuff works itself out? Like, if I really have these desires and it's genuine and it's not just like projecting, like if I actually want to do something, what's the worst gonna happen? You mess up. Like, life is life. We're all gonna die one day, so what's the point of wasting time? But back to the wedding, and each of our like families or groups or people that we knew were assigned tables. So there was like probably a dozen or so different tables. There was like 100 people there. And it just so happened that the table we were at had the same girl, the girl that I mentioned a billion times before, her last name was in the title of our table. Out of all the tables, it was her name, blank, whatever. And I was like, damn, a wedding out of all places? Like, it kind of surprised me how much I get reminded of her. Because people say I'm like my dad all the time around my family. I'm like, oh, that's just like dad. That's just like your dad. That's just like, I get that constantly. I say I look like him, sound like him, do this, mannerisms. And yeah, I'm reminded of this girl like 100 times more than my dad, which is wild. And the fact that I'm like living in the moment and really present unlocks a lot more opportunities to see, oh shoot, that like just get constantly reminded of things, and it just happens nonstop. So it's like, even though my feelings might fade, the more I realize that there's nothing here, like I'm just constantly reminded. So I'm like, okay, maybe there's something more. Maybe there's something I'm missing. I don't know. But I find stuff like that interesting, because it's 2.5 months later of not seeing her, getting ghosted, getting all this stuff. And here I am getting reminded of her. And it's not like sad or whatever. I get like a little smile, and I just look at her and I'm like, oh, okay. We'll see what's up here. With graduation coming up, all these like unknowns about the job thing, career thing, moving, this, that, whatever. You think that all that stuff would be on my mind, but it's really just this one girl and making these videos. That is the only thing in here. I wake up, go to class, and in class I'm like, okay. I check my YouTube, I start working on a video or do this, that. Just speed run through homework. Just so I have the ability to work on another video. It's pretty wild. This is not freshman year, this is not sophomore year. I'm a senior in my last month of college, not just last semester, last month. And yet now more than ever, I'm focused on things that are so different from what I'm doing right now. It's pretty wild, honestly. And it makes me very interested, because I'm interested in these things at a time where usually people start worrying about all this stuff. So hey, maybe there's something more to this than, I don't know. It feels like there's a lot more reasons to these unknowns. So if any of you guys are in situations where there's a lot of unknowns, a lot of uncertainty, just take a step back and just let it do its thing. And then eventually look back and be like, oh, okay, that happened, this, whatever. And all this time thinking, all this time reflecting has helped me understand that the stuff behind have a reason. So obviously all this stuff happens for a reason. So it's very interesting considering just how little I know. While I was writing the script for this thing, I was watching this movie, Lost in Translation. And I feel like it embodies this idea, this inherent lack of direction, unknown, all this stuff. I feel like it embodies that as much as you can. Because like the characters literally have no idea. They're in like Japan doing whatever. So I was watching, I was like, damn, I really understand what they're going through. Although it's very different situation and stuff. It's really cool when you watch a movie or see something and it's like, damn, I really connect with that. Deeper than just, oh, he looks like me, or oh, that was silly or whatever. I like that. And there's been enough times where I've seen something or whatever, something that felt really close to home that I'm like, okay, I see what the universe is doing here. But honestly, as much as the unknown, all stuff is scary, all stuff is whatever, I like it. I wouldn't trade it for the world, because knowing stuff is really overrated. You could say, hey, you could trade your life with anyone out there. Billionaires, people that don't have to work a day in their lives, supermodels, this, that, whatever. NFL quarterbacks making $50 million a year, but there's not a single person in this world that I would trade my life for. No matter where it goes, no matter how long I live, no matter what happens, I wouldn't trade this life for whatever. Because I know, as much mystery and confusion as there may be, there's a lot more to this. And for any of you guys out there, just understand that although it may seem like an echo chamber, there may be times in your life where it seems like, oh, nothing is going right. What's the point of doing this? Like, it's just all useless. There's always a reason behind it. It's just sometimes it's harder to see than others. So if anyone out there, just truly just stick to it. Let life do as it may. Live in the moment. Enjoy the moment while you got it. Because you never know what's going to happen next. And you want to make sure you don't lose sight of the great things that happen every day by just worrying about what could happen. But anyways, all this to say, I hope you enjoyed the video. Hope you had a great time if you stayed, and if anyone stayed to this point. If you liked it, you can subscribe and like. I don't really care. You can comment down below anything, but I just hope anyone out there has a great day, has a great life. Just go with the flow, and you'd be surprised where life takes you. Anyways, peace out.
Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe.